everybody, what's up, and welcome back to my kitchen table. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the hardy annuals and biennials that I already have on hand here, either that I've ordered or that I had this spring, and kind of going over my plans so far for the garden. Now I do have orders for more flowers. This is all going to be flowers, by the way. I should put that up front. I do have orders for more flowers, but these are what I already had, so I kind of wanted to break it into multiple videos because I know somebody doesn't want to watch a 4-hour long video of me talking about flower seeds with no pictures or anything like that. So I'm going to get right into it. First things first, I have my chamomile. You can see it has direct sow in March. I winter sowed chamomile, I direct sowed chamomile in March, I direct sow it also in September. It is very hardy. Here in zone 6B7, it has no trouble whatsoever overwintering. So if you were in the same zone as me, it might work for you too. And the thing I like about direct sowing in the fall is that the plants are just so much healthier. They are bigger, they are stronger, and there's just a huge profusion of blooms that you can pick and use, and that's awesome. Of course, I mean, you can try to plant it in the summer, but I just personally don't think it's really worth your time. So I always choose to plant it in the fall. So that's going to be planted at the end of September. I usually direct sow it. You can transplant clumps, but just it's pretty hardy. Direct sowing will work. Next up, I have something I have no idea what it is. Somebody gave me this. It's Arboreta. As much as I can tell on the internet, it is somewhat hardy. That's all I know. We'll stay up to date on that. It's a perennial. It makes me wonder if it needs cold stratification. I'm not sure. We'll find out together, I guess, whether or not I'm successful. Next up, somebody gave me this is, I have no idea how to say this. Convolvulus? Sure, why not? Sounds good to me. Yay! This is an annual, but the internet seems to hint that it's kind of cold hardy, and because it allegedly blooms in the spring, and it's also allegedly related to morning glory somehow. It's bush morning glory. I don't know if they're related or they're one's just called bush morning glory. Online, I also saw it referred to as bindweed, and that sends up like red flags for me, like, whoa, no, don't you dare stick that in your garden. Bindweed here is extremely invasive, and once you get bindweed in your garden, it just takes over things and makes you want to cry yourself to sleep at night and wonder why you put it in your garden. So I'm not quite sure I'm going to plant this, or if I do, it's going to go in a pot or something. If you've ever grown this from seed, or if you had a plant or something, let me know down in the comments what I should do with it, because I'm not so sure that I'm going to plant it seriously. Last in the pile of things that I didn't buy, somebody gave me, is a sweet pea. These are going to be good to go. I know how to grow these. I think I've finally figured it out how to grow these sweet peas. I can overwinter them. These are going to also be sown probably at the end of September. It's not the end. Whenever I said the end of September earlier, it's like September 21st. It's not the end of September, because it would be getting too cool here, I think. This is probably going to be around September 21st. Maybe a little bit sooner, maybe a tiny bit later, just depends on what the weather's doing. So, anyway, these will winter sow really well. They can also be sown in the fall. If you do sow them in the fall, they usually need a little bit of protection, like maybe a milk jug lid over top of them, or some plastic or a row cover. But I have had them here in my zone completely survive on their own. So it's really kind of a roll of the dice in terms of hardiness and what kind of winter we have. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that those are safe and protected. When it comes to sweet peas, planting early is really the only option here. It just gets way too hot, and they are a pain to grow, but you can do it. Don't give up. Up next, I have some Canterbury Bells. I should mention right now that these, the next seeds, I think almost all of them, maybe, I'll say, yeah, all of the seeds that I'm about to mention were donated by Baker Creek. And I wanted to say thank you so much. I asked them if they were interested in donating some flower seeds to the charity garden for the cut flowers, right? You know how I donate cut flowers to hospitals and la-di-da. and all that. So they were so generous to send me some things this summer to grow in the garden, some of which I've already donated, like those cosmos, those purple cosmos. I donated all of those. I just made a cutting of those. I'm waiting for them to rebloom, and those were donated. I'm trying to think what else is out there. Some of the morning glories they donated. I'm trying to figure out how to use morning glories as cut flowers. I don't know if it's possible. So far, everything that I've cut from the morning glories has wilted, which is kind of frustrating, but I'm trying to figure it out. Anyhow, a lot of the flowers that they donated were hardy annuals and stuff that I knew for a fact if I planted it in the summer, it was not going to do good at all. If I planted a lot of this stuff in the summer here, it would have been kind of pointless and a waste. So I made sure to wait until the fall to plant these as hardy annuals. So the first one is Canterbury Bells, which I think is more of a biennial. I've tried to start some seeds for these so far, and I just did a little bit. And so far I haven't had any luck. I haven't seen anything that said that they need stratification or cold or anything like that. But I have seen that germination can take up to 21 days, so I'm just kind of waiting. If you have any tips on how to germinate these, please tell me. I would absolutely love to know, because I'm kind of lost because I don't know how to germinate these, being honest. So up next in the seeds that they donated was some Pom Pom Lilac Poppies. You know that I have to overwinter these and plant these as a hardy annual seeded in September. So I know that these will be successful. In addition to the Lilac Pom Pom Poppy, there are also several packets here of the Eastern Horned Poppy, which I think will be interesting. I've never grown those before. I'm sure they will most likely overwinter well. I'm trying to look at the hardy annual, biennial, so yeah, I think they'll be just fine, which is perfect. I'm glad I held off on growing these, so this will definitely be a success as long as nothing crazy happens in the garden, you know what I mean? You never know. Up next, they donated a few packets of blue lupine. I have so much trouble with lupine. I've been reading up on this one a lot to try to finally be successful with it. I also personally bought some Russell mixed lupine seeds on one of the orders that I made because I needed to just finally figure this out. As much as I can tell, they do not like for their roots to be wet, and they will root rot very, very easily, which for me is a big deal because my soil is always soggy. It's a heavy clay. So I'm going to be finding a spot in the garden, and I'm going to amend this really, really well with sand or something, and I'm just going to make it a really nice, well-drained spot. Somebody told me they also like the soil to be a little bit acidic, so I'm going to give that a try too. And I am determined to be successful with these. I have always been the biggest lupine failure on the planet. We're going to do this. This is the year. I have good feelings about it. Up next, they sent some Golden Globe Coreopsis. You guys saw last year in the garden as a hardy annual, I planted some Plains Coreopsis. It was also from Baker Creek. And it did great. It had no problem whatsoever with the winter weather here. It was very hardy. And the blooms got about, I don't know, 3 foot tall. The plants got about 3 foot tall, and the blooms were gorgeous. So I can only assume that this is going to do the same thing. As far as I remember, there wasn't any kind of special treatment that it needed in terms of cold stratification. I just direct sowed the seeds in fall in September. I always say, you know, this survived here with no cover, whatever, but every garden is different. So really just, it takes trial and error. As much as I hate to admit it, what survives at my house might not survive at yours, which is a bummer. But the best I can do, I guess, is just share my own experiences with you guys. Next, we have some Pink Queen Delphinium. You might recognize this as larkspur. If you look through my older videos, I have a video of some larkspur that I overwintered. Last year, I direct sowed larkspur in the fall, and they did terrible, okay? I planted them next to a south-facing fence, and what had happened is the fence completely shaded the delphiniums the entire time. So I don't know if the weather was just colder than normal, or if the shade of the fence was what helped to kill all of the larkspur. But if you're going to grow this one without protection, I would say you might want to just go ahead and, you know, throw a row cover over it, because it wasn't consistent enough And even though my winter last year was a little bit on the warm side, it didn't come through, which was a real bummer. Because when you grow these larkspur through the winter and you let them bloom as hardy annuals in the spring, they are so tall and gorgeous, and they sway in the breeze, and they are awesome. So I know I'm always talking about, ooh, plant in the fall, plant in the fall, but seriously, it makes such a huge difference, guys. Seriously, do it. Up next, I have some Northern Lights Linaria, or I think it's, what's it called? Fairy something. What is this called? It's got another name. Fairy something. Does it say it on the back? Do you say this on the back? Hardy Annual Fairy Bouquet Mix. It's fairy something. Somebody help me. I'm going to try to plant this in the fall. I planted it in the fall last year, and I didn't cover it, and it didn't make it, but it did withstand a lot of cold weather, so I'm trying again. And if you have any experience with this in my zone, like, definitely let me know how you went about planting it. I planted some a long time ago in the spring, trying to grow it through the summer, and it fizzled out. It was not any good. So let me know how to grow this. This is another one that I've yet to be successful with. Last but not least, in this video we have pansies. I have the Super Beaconsfield and the Orange Sun pansies. I'm really excited about overwintering these pansies. If you remember, we winter sowed some pansies last spring. I feel like that was so long ago already. It wasn't even that long ago. And they did absolutely phenomenal. So this time around, I am going to try to overwinter some pansies. So I'm going to start these seeds off and get them growing and get them ready to overwinter outside. And we'll have some early spring blooms. My phone's making noises because it's about to go dead. We'll have some early spring blooms. Now, this is another one that I don't think I can use it for cut flowers. What I do think I'm going to end up doing possibly is maybe getting some seed cups or like nursery pots and growing them in nursery pots, and that way these can get donated in their nursery pots. I know a lot of the flowers end up going to people who receive Meals on Wheels, so I think that would be a nice kind of touch, or you know, a nice thing that would be relevant and still have these flowers put to good use. That's really about it. Thanks again to Baker Creek. I really appreciate it. It always means so much to have somebody, you know, support something like that, because I really do love being able to give back, and sometimes, you know, the state of things inhibits that a little bit, and I'm always appreciative to anybody who wants to lend a helping hand in that. Of course, with that, I have to feel like I have to say, this is not a sponsored video. They did not pay me anything, this, you know, all that good stuff. That's about it. Next time we'll be talking about more seeds that I have to start soon, because I really want to try to have a garden that is absolutely overflowing next year, and hopefully we'll be successful. Who knows, right? I hope y'all are having a real great day, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.